Now that you've established both your Facebook at Work account and your Okta account, let's look at how easy it is to configure provisioning so that you can leverage Okta to replicate your Active Directory environment into Facebook at Work and rapidly get your users on board and leveraging the Facebook at Work platform. Here we are in our Facebook at Work instance. This is named Okta Test 4, as you can see here in the bar. I'm just going to go to the section called Company Dashboard, which gives me access to my configuration settings. Some information that we're going to need to set up provisioning is found here on this general settings page. The first piece we're going to need is an access token, which is going to authorize Okta to leverage the Facebook at Work APIs. And then secondly, we're going to need to uniquely identify our Facebook at Work instance, which is going to be done by this string of characters here. So this one that starts in 104 and ends in 225. So we'll come back to this screen in a second. Let's look at how we first configure Okta. So our Okta dashboard, or our Okta instance, we've logged in. We've already clicked into our applications list. Depending on what flavor of Okta you're using, you may not have any here. You may be an existing Okta user and have several applications here. Regardless, we're going to come to this page, which is just applications, and we're going to click Add Application. In the search bar here, we can type Facebook, and you'll see that the Facebook at Work app comes up here as the second option. The one we want to use is this entrance here that's verified for SAML and provisioning. We click Add, and we'll be taken into a general setup wizard, which is where we're going to need a couple of those pieces of information that we just talked about. First off, the subdomain. This is the name of our Facebook at Work instance, which in this case we know is Okta Test 4. We saw that from the ID. And then we're going to need that small string of characters that uniquely identifies our Facebook organization, which is found here. So in our case, it starts in 104 and ends in 225. So we'll come over, we'll paste that back into this entry. Quick data check, ends in 225. I think this is all good. So we'll hit next. We're not going to set up provisioning by way of this wizard, just so that everyone can see how the app looks during sort of the normal administrative flow, and then we'll set up provisioning from there. And similarly, we won't assign any users until provisioning is enabled, so that those users then get properly created downstream in the application. So here now is the individual application view of Okta. You can think of Okta as a hub. On one side is Active Directory, and on the other side are all of the applications that Okta interfaces with to provide things like single sign-on and provisioning support. We can do a real quick check in our general world to make sure that we have Okta Test 4 properly identified and that that string of numbers properly identified. So then we'll come in here to the provisioning subtab and we'll go ahead and enable provisioning. So we'll say, go ahead and set up these features. This is where we'll need that API token that we just talked about. So that's this long string of characters. Notice this one ends in 110 and ends in November Echo 4. So we'll paste that in and do a quick test. And this will tell us that our Facebook at Work instance is properly responding when we leverage that API token. Now we'll scroll down a bit and we will enable the ability for Okta to create users, update any user information should it change, and to deactivate users if we so desire, if that user changes jobs or perhaps leaves the company. We'll hit save. Again, we'll get provisioning settings saved. And now we're ready to map people. If I quickly come back to my Facebook instance and look at my employees list, if I click on employees, I get the employee analytics view of the world, but what I really want to do is administratively manage my employees, so that's this page. Now notice I have several old users, but none of them are active. You'll see I get a status of inactive. It's only myself who's here as an active user, and that's the administrative account. So what we want to do is to begin to then map real users into this environment. Back in Okta, I come to the People tab. Then there's this big green button here that says Assign to People, and we will find one of our test users to illustrate the concept. So Ellen Green is ready to go. So I click Assign and Save. That will then, from an Okta perspective, we now consider Ellen Green to be a managed user for the Facebook at Work application. Because she's a managed user, she will then behave according to the settings that we set up on the provisioning tab, which in this case is create. She doesn't exist yet in Facebook at Work, go ahead and create her. That's what we've asked Okta to do for us. We'll come back over to Facebook at Work with a quick refresh of this page, and you'll see that Ellen is now in our instance. She has the right title, she has the right email address, and over here we see where she came from. So this was provisioned across the SCIM interface, and we're simply waiting to send her an invite. The normal mechanism for Facebook at Work is to provision all of your user accounts, and then at a certain go live date, send that email out with the claim link. You can actually configure both Okta and Facebook Work to send that, Facebook at Work, I should say, to send that claim email immediately if you so desire. In a future video, we will look at how to set up the SSO settings for these now provisioned users so that they can begin to log in a secure manner and consume value or realize value from Facebook at Work.